Exposition of the Holy Quran. By G. A. Parwez. Glossary. 1. Ad. 2. Aaron, Harun. 3. Abraham, Ibrahim. 4. Adam, Alif Dal Mim. 5. Al-Kitab. 6. Al-Imran, Alif Waw Lam. 7. Alim, An Lam Mim. 8. Allah, Alif Lam Ha. 9. Amra, Alif Mim Ra. 10. Anbiya. 11. Anfal, Nun Fa Lam. 12. Ansar, Nun Sad Ra. 13. Arafat. 14. Azar. 15. Biabal, Babylon. 16. Bidar, Ba Dal Ra. 17. Bahira, Ba Ha Ra. 18. Bani Israel. 19. Book, books. 20. David, Dawood. 21. Deen, Dal Ya Nun. 1. Ad. The people known as Ad were successors of Noah's people. 7. 69. They had a flourishing economy. 26. 128, 89. 8. But were destroyed because they opposed the laws of Allah sent to them through different Anbiya, last of which was Hud. 11. 58 to 60. Opening parenthesis. 7. 71 to 74. For details, please refer to the book Ju-e-Nur by Allama Ghulam Ahmad Parwez in Urdu. 2. Aaron, Harun. Aaron was elder brother of Moses. Both the brothers were Nabi, got wahi from Allah and guided Bani Israel out of Egypt. 19. 51 to 53. Where Pharaoh had enslaved them. Both of them got revelations in the form of books. 21. 48. 37. 117. The Nubuwwat of Aaron has been attributed to a request from Moses to Allah. 20. 25 to 36. 3. Abraham. Ibrahim. Abraham, father of Ishmael and Isaac and grandfather of Jacob, was on the top of the line of Anbiya sent to the people of the Arabia, Palestine, Babylon, and Assyria. Rasul Allah Muhammad, peace be upon him, was a descendant of the branch led by Ishmael, who had settled in Mecca as directed by Allah. 2. 125. Abraham with help from Ishmael had built Kaaba in Mecca. Abraham has been mentioned 69 times in the Holy Quran. His life as a Nabi has been well detailed. He is the only Nabi besides Rasul Allah, peace be upon him, who has been declared the best model for Mu'mineen. 60. 4. He argued with his father, Azar, his people, and the king. 2. 258. To convince them to leave idol worship and obey one and the only Allah. 29. 16 to 25. Eventually the king decided to burn him alive. 21. 68 to 69. But he was saved. He was the first one to declare that nationality is built on the basis of ideology. 14. 36. And not otherwise. 4. Adam. Alif Dal Mim. Oud Matan means the human characteristic of living. Together. Al-Idam means anything which is favorable. Taj al-Uruz. Ibn Faris says that the basic meaning of this word is mutual understanding, love, and affection. The word Adam is also used for any outstanding individual by whose virtue a tribe is recognized. Taj. It is generally believed that Adam, supposedly the first man created by Allah, whose story is narrated in the Quran regarding his exit from Jannah, was the first Rasul. This is not supported by any verse of the Holy Quran, neither is the name of Eve or Hawa mentioned in the Quran. The story is narrated in a symbolic form and does not pertain to a particular person or a pair. In fact, this is the story of mankind and Adam is its representative. The word Adam occurs 25 times in the Quran and only at one place. 3. 32. It appears that Adam was also the name of a selected person. The greatest quality of Adam or man is that he has been bestowed potentialities to acquire knowledge of how everything else in the universe functions. 2:33. Then all the Malaika were ordained to bow down before him, come within his reach. 2:34. Now it is up to him to utilize these potentialities and conquer all that lies in the universe. 5. Al-Kitab literally means people having a book. At the time of emergence of Islam, there were two categories of people living in Arabia. One who claimed to be the followers of previous Rusul and were called Jews and Christians, addressed in Quran as Al-Kitab, and the other who neither claimed nor obeyed any divine book and instead followed their own codes. They were called Ummiyun, pagans and ignorant, who did not know how to read and write. 3:19-3:74. It also embraces people inhabiting al-Qura, Makkah. But in the Quran this term is used to denote the followers of some divine books other than the Quran. In today's terminology, al-Kitab will apply to any people who associate themselves with any of the earlier divine books. 6. Al-Imran. Alif Wao Lam. Al generally means the progeny or family of any individual. Thus Al-Imran means family of Imran. Imran is said to be the names of both the fathers of Moses and Mary. Al-Imran is generally used for Bani Israel. 7. Alim. An Lam Mim. Ilm means to know something positively, to recognize, to know the reality to the extent of certainty, to feel, to find out definitely. Taj. Mohit. One who comes to know these things in this process is called Alam and its plural is Ailmun. Alam, plural Allama, is one whose knowledge is very deep, thorough, and sound. According to the Arabs, the position or status of ilm was superior than that of marifat, cognizance or consciousness. That is why in Quran, the word alim 10:1 has been used for Allah instead of arif or share. Poet. 8. Allah. Alif Lam Ha. This is the proper name of God, Al-Ilah, and all other names denote his various attributes. Ilah, by definition, is 1. To whom someone looks for protection in bewilderment. 2. From whose grandeur one gets dazed. 3. Whose overall sovereignty or lordship is accepted. 4. Whose laws and directions are obeyed and followed. And 5. Who is at the highest pedestal and remains unseen. Taj. Keeping in view the above attributes, the name Allah as it appears in the Quran would mean a being who is supreme but remains hidden from human eyes, before whose dignity and grandeur the human perceptions become dazed, whose sovereignty extends over the entire universe, whose obedience is must. By accepting him one must accept only his sovereignty and obey his laws. Human mind just cannot perceive him in any shape or physical form, nor can explain him. He is beyond human perceptions. 6. 104. Nothing is like him. 42:11. However, we can explain his attributes as mentioned in the Quran. To believe in Allah would therefore mean to acknowledge and accept his sovereignty with all his attributes, as mentioned in the Quran, in the most balanced and proportionate manner. 17. 110. If one goes through the annals of human history, one would find one thing common all along. Irrespective of the time and the place, there has always existed a supreme being, someone supernatural before whom one should bow, who should be worshipped, from whom one should pray for help and for the fulfillment of his desires, one who should be dreaded and before whom one should offer sacrifices. Even in the farthest corners of the globe where no human being from outside had ever set foot, and where the inhabitants were totally unaware or untouched by any foreign influences and were living in the earliest stage of human civilization. Travelers and research scholars came across traces of some supernatural being which they worshipped. However, its details differed from place to place. These were the perceptual differences which made every god different from the god of the other tribe, or country, or religion.
It is, therefore, incorrect to say that the gods of all religions is the same. Rama or Rahim is one and the same thing.
The father of Christians, the Judea of Jews, the Ishwar or Paramatma of Hindus and Ahmazd of Zoroastrian are totally different from each other, as their attributes are different from those of Allah of the Quran.
He is above all perceptions.
He cannot be transformed out of a stone or a log of wood. The real concept of Allah can only be perceived by explaining his attributes as narrated in the Quran, since only the Quran is exalted from the interplay of human thought. It is because of this reason that the Quran does not accept the existence of God which various people or tribes or religions have carved out of their own thoughts. The question then arises as to why is it necessary to have faith in Allah of the Quran. Almost all the psychologists and research scholars agree on one thing: a human being consists of a body and a soul.
This soul, or self, is given to every individual in a latent or undeveloped form by Allah.
The mission or object of a human being in this earthly life is to manifest and develop this self in such a way that even after death it is capable of entering into another higher, totally different phase of life and does not lag behind. To test or examine whether one's self is getting developed or not, he must have a model or a test before him, in absence of which he is likely to get astray. Or worse, everyone could set his own standards. The supreme, the complete, the most balanced and infinite being to serve as a perfect model is Allah, whose attributes are called Asma al-Husna. These Asma al-Husna are spread over the pages of the Quran as glittering pearls, and man ought to incorporate them in his person to the extent of human limitations.
The way in which these attributes,
Asma al-Husna, can enrich the personality of a human being can best be ascertained from the day-to-day life of the exalted person of Muhammad Rasul Allah. Peace be upon him. In other words, a human being can examine and test from time to time if his self is getting developed by comparing himself with these attributes. As a human body gets nourishment according to well-known physical laws, there also have to be some laws and values for the development of that self. These laws and values are explained in the Quran as various attributes of Allah. If someone wants to test the development of his self, he should examine as to what extent the attributes of Allah are reflected in his own person. That is why it is necessary to have faith in Allah alone. The word Allah has been used 2,697 times in the Quran. 9. Amra, Alif Mim Ra. Al-Amarato wa Tiamor means a signpost made of small stones in the desert to indicate the boundaries or to show the path. Al-Itamar means to consult. In verses 7, 110, and 26:35,
the Pharaoh asked his chiefs about Moses, "So what do you suggest in this matter?"
Mu'tamar means the place where consultations take place, the conference room and the conference itself. Amir is a person who is consulted, also a person who gives guidance to a blind man. Taj. It also means abundance. Taj. Other meanings in which Amra is used are to order, to direct a situation or a position. When it is used in the context of giving directions, then its plural is Awamir. As we use Awamir and Nawahi, its antonym. However, in the Quran the word Awamir has not been used. When Amra is used in the sense of a problem or a situation, its plural is Umur. Al-Imarato means a government or state. Taj. and Amir means a person who gives directives. In verse 7:54, Amra has been used in a different form than Kalk. Here it is important to keep in view its basic meanings, i.e., guidance, indication, direction. Ibn Faris says that nourishment is also one of its intrinsic meanings. Kalk means to bring into existence various things by mixing different elements. This presupposes that these elements already exist. However, before this stage, there is another stage when the things are in the process of becoming. This planning stage is Allama al-Amra. Amra also means the laws, rules, or disciplines according to which things in the universe are existing. Quran says that when Allah decides to create something, He says be, and so it becomes. How does it take shape and form, and where does it comes into being, we do not know, as it is beyond our comprehension. Dr.
Muhammad Iqbal, in his essays on reconstruction of religious thought in Islam,
page 103, quotes Pringle Patterson, a famous thinker who exposes the helplessness of English language. He says that English has only one word about the creation of universe, whereas there should have been two different words to explain two different phases. Arabic has two words, Kalk and Amra, to express the two ways in which the creative activity of Allah reveals itself to us. In short, the first stage is that of divine planning, where Allah's directive energy initiates an inchoate object on the path leading to its destined incarnation, and the process by which it finally assumes the material form intended for it is called the process of creation. Creation involves the blending of various elements in a particular manner and proportion, so as to produce an entirely new thing. For instance, the formation of water through a combination of hydrogen and oxygen. How the divine planning operates in the various stages of Amra is not known to us, but in the world of creation, it can be comprehended through the physical laws. Indeed, man can not only comprehend the operation but also cooperate with Allah in this creative process. The laws under which the various objects in the universe function are made in the world of divine planning. Allama al-Amra. But they're enforced and executed in the world of creation. Allama al-Kalk. 10. Anbiya. The plural form of Nabi, see Nabi. 11. Anfal. Nun fa lam. Anfal, plural of the word naval, is the excess of any action which is in addition of the required one. Some scholars think that its meanings are the spoils of war, but others opine that it also pertains to something else. Taj. In our opinion, this should not be tied to the spoils of war. It means the net income of the state after paying all the dues and expenses in addition to the specified sources. An-Naval is a river, sea, a gift, a person who gives away in abundance. Taj. Nafila means a grandson. 21:72. As he is an addition to a son who is the direct descendant. 12. Ansar.
Nun Sad Ra.
Ansar. 8. 177, 6. 103. 52. Those people of Medina who helped the migrants of Makkah al-Mukarramah prior to establishment of Quranic social order. Ansarullah. 3. 52. Were those people who help Allah, i.e., who help in establishing the deen of Allah. 13. Arafat. An area near Mecca, where Muslims get together for Hajj every year on 9th of the month of Zul Hajj.
Rasul Allah,
peace be upon him, delivered his famous speech during the last Hajj he had performed as Rasul Allah from a hill in Arafat, which is known as the Mount of Rahmat. Jabal Ur Rahmat. 14. Azar. 6. 75. Was father of Abraham. He was the head priest and an idol maker. Abraham tried to reason with him to leave idol worship. 6. 75. But since he did not, Abraham excused himself. 64. 9. 114. And left him. 15. Babel, Babylon. Babel is the name of an ancient city in Iraq, which was the
cultural center between 3000 to 2000 B.C.
In Jewish stories of magic and supernatural phenomenon is a story concerning Harut and Marut, the two angels in Babel who used to forecast future and teach people magic. Allah has contradicted this in verse 2, 102, saying that the story is fake and imaginary. 16. Badar, Bad al-Ra. A small market center in southwest of Medina, one night's journey from the coast, and situated at the junction of a road from Medina and the caravan route from Mecca to Syria. It lies in a plain which is 5 miles long and 2.5 miles broad, surrounded by steep hills and sand dunes. Here occurred on the 17th of Ramadan 2. A.H. 13th of March 624 A.D. the first major battle of Rasul Allah's life. Peace be upon him. The Encyclopedia of Islam, New Edition p. 867. The Muslims numbered 313, whereas the Meccans were nearly 950 strong. During the battle the Meccans suffered a crushing defeat. Nearly 70 of them were killed and 70 taken as prisoners, whereas the number of dead from the Muslims was only 15. The Quran mentions regarding the help rendered by the Malaika at this occasion in verses 3,
122, 8,
9, 12, 17. Bahira,
Bahara.
She-camel devoted to the gods. Idols. During the pre-Islamic days, her ears were torn and no one was allowed to milk her. 5,
103.
18. Bani Israel. Opening parenthesis. Literally meaning the children of Israel.
Jacob was the grandson of Abraham.
His title was Israel, which means man of God. His descendants are known as Bani Israel. His fourth son was Yehuda or Judea, whose tribe was settled in Palestine. From this reference, this tribe came to be known as Jews and the remaining tribes as Bani Israel. However, with the passage of time both the tribes were known by both the names. Jacob's homeland was Palestine, but when Joseph came in power in Egypt, these people migrated there and were held in high esteem.
Gradually they were subjugated by the pharaohs and were treated like slaves.
When they were immensely humiliated, highly despised and degraded, Moses was sent towards them, who pulled them out of Pharaoh's slavery and brought them again towards Palestine around 1200 B.C.
Here they again rose to glory.
Anbiya David and Solomon were born here. After them once again they went astray from the divine laws, got divided and weakened. In 599 B.C., the king of Babylon, Bakhat Nasser, invaded Jerusalem, ransacked it and took them in captivity to Babylon. The Quran mentions their first destruction in verse 17. 5. There they were made to live a miserable life. 17. 5. For nearly 80 years. Till King Cyrus the Zulkarnain, Darius and Artaxerxes came for their rescue one after the other, helped them settle in Jerusalem, and permitted them to rebuild the temple in 515 B.C. Reference to this rehabilitation is given in the Quran in verses 2, 259, 17. 6. After some time the Jews again got themselves degraded, and were invaded by Alexander the Great in 332 B.C., and later by Ptolemy in 330 B.C.,
when Jerusalem was again captured and subjugated.
After this, Jerusalem remained under the Greeks for a long time, till the Pope of Rome almost destroyed it. In 51 B.C., another invasion destroyed Bani Israel almost completely. The Quran refers to this second destruction in verse 17. 7. At this stage Allah gave them another chance by sending towards them his Rasul Jesus in Jerusalem, but the priests conspired against Jesus and thus lost the chance. In the year 70 A.D.,
Titus the Roman governor invaded him and their central authority was completely destroyed.
Encyclopaedia Britannica mentions, in the 10th day of 7th month, an unprecedented havoc and misery fell Jerusalem and the kingdom of Jews finally came to an end. The Jews got a final chance at the time of Muhammad Rasul Allah, peace be upon him, but again they opposed him tooth and nail and were thus turned out of Arabia. The Quran mentions this in verse 59, 2. After this they were known as the Wandering Jews, till some superpowers got them a homeland in Palestine after the First World War. Another distinctive thing about Jews is that their religion is racial. A Jew is one who is of a Jew. No one else can be converted to this religion. 19. Books. This is the literal translation of the word kitab. In this exposition, it implies the collection of verses revealed by Allah to a particular Rasul and subsequently through Muhammad Rasul Allah, peace be upon him, to the people at large. See Wahi. 20. David, Dawood in Arabic, one of the descendants of Abraham. 6. 58. Was one of the greatest Anbiya sent to Bani Israel. During his era, Bani Israel reached the heights of power and glory. He killed Goliath in a battle. 2. 251. Most likely prior to his nubuwwat.
He was physically a very strong person. 38. 17.
But at the same time very intelligent.
38.
20. And obedient to Allah.
38. 17.
21. Deen. Dal Ya Noon. This word has been used in various forms and meanings. E.g. power, supremacy, ascendancy, sovereignty or lordship, dominion, law, constitution, mastery, government, realm, decision, definite outcome, reward and punishment. On the other hand, this word is also used in the sense of obedience, submission and allegiance.
Taj. Mohit.
The author of Latif al-Lafat states that its meanings are accountability, supremacy, plan or habit. In Kitab al-Ishtikak its meanings are given as obedience, habit, etc.
In the Holy Quran this word is used in almost all the above meanings in as many as 79 verses.
Deen also means a repetitive habit, so rain which always falls at a particular place is called deen. Taj. Ad-Deen is to surrender before that supreme authority which provides nourishment to the entire universe and lays down the laws and the code.
2. 131 to 132.
At another place it is called Islam. Verse 56, 86, mentions about the people who are not under any command and authority, Gaira Madin. In verse 12, 76, Deen al-Malik is mentioned as law of the king, and in 24, 2, Deen Ilah is mentioned as law of Allah. However, in verse 24, 25, it is mentioned in the sense of reward and punishment. It can also mean accountability. Ibn Qutayba. In verses 82, 17 to 19, the Quran itself explains its meanings by putting a counter question. The day of Deen, and what do you understand as to what is the day of Deen? The day of Deen is when no man has any power over another man and all the affairs of mankind would be decided according to the law of Allah. Verse 1, 3 also gives reference to this day, period or stage of history when mankind would lead their lives according to the law of Allah on their own free will. The fundamental and basic quality of this period would be that no man would have any authority, power or supremacy over the other. Supremacy, authority and power would only be to the laws of Allah. That is the meaning of Malik Yawmiddin. These laws of Allah in their final and complete form are given in the Quran, and are called ad-Din.
To regulate our lives according to these laws is al-Islam.
In fact, there are various terms prevalent in the world, e.g., social system, code of life, law of the government, constitution of the state, etc. But the Holy Quran has used only one all-comprehensive word, ad-Din. This is the social order, the code of life, and the constitution prescribed by Allah. According to this constitution, it is Allah alone who has the power and the authority to impose any restrictions, or draw boundaries regulating human freedom, and no one else. Therefore, in ad-Din the ultimate sovereignty rests with Allah alone, and this sovereignty is exercised through His book. An Islamic state is the agency which enforces these Quranic laws, and therefore, its constitution contains the unalterable laws of the Quran. The entire functions of such a state are carried out within the boundaries drawn by these laws. The object is to maintain an ideal balance in this system of justice and equity. This, in other words, is ad-Din. The Holy Quran has described Islam as ad-Din, which is generally translated in English as religion.
In the light of what has been stated above, it should be clear that this supposed English equivalent is not only incorrect but distorts and vitiates the true significance of deen.
According to the Quran, Islam is deen, which means a code of life, a social system, a polity. 3:18:5. This is the deen which Muhammad Rasul Allah, peace be upon him, brought. 9:33. And would ultimately triumph over all other ways of life. The word mazhab has not been used anywhere in the Quran. It is, therefore, not proper to term Islam as religion or mazhab. Mazhab, in the literal sense, means a passage or path made by man, and deen is that code, law or system which one gets from Allah. That is why there are so many different sects in mazhab, but none in deen, and whoever indulges in sectarian feelings is called mushrik. Deen revealed by Allah was and is one, and there is no room for any sect in it. Sects are made by man, not by Allah. Earlier too, Allah had given His deen to mankind from time to time through various rusul, but after their demise people forgot the divine books and instead devised their own ways.
In this way they lost the deen, and replaced it by man-made mazhab.
Ultimately Allah gave His last deen to mankind in the Quran and took upon Himself the responsibility of preserving it for all times. This was the deen which became the code of life and the constitution in the lifetime of Rasul Allah, peace be upon him. Unfortunately, Muslims too set aside the book of Allah and started following man-made laws, thereby replacing Allah's deen with mazhab. As a result, now the Muslims also are, in a way, at par with the followers of other religions. However, the Book of Allah, the Quran, is still with them in its original form and can be adopted if anyone wants to recapture the old glory of Islam.